you think it's more about the fact that Sweden has some of those flagships that have shown it can be done? Or do you think that it's more about maybe just culture, as in maybe in Sweden, maybe in Stockholm, they're thinking, you know what, we start here and we're going to go to the UK or America within X amount of years. Whereas in Copenhagen, maybe it's more along the lines of, let's just take our time, see what we have, and then plan a strategy for, say, expanding.
I think that Sweden has there's a little bit in the culture that's giving them a boost. I do think that they started earlier and that really gave them an advantage, but they have a very good collaboration system with their universities. They have had that for a long time. They also have a bit of a larger market, which doesn't seem like much. You know, they're around 9.5 million, so it's almost 10 million in Sweden, but that's almost double the population of a place like Denmark or double the population of Norway. And that doesn't seem like much, but I think it does play a role, which means that you have a little bit more of a local market to play with. Swedes are absolutely early adopters. And I think a lot of people in the Nordics are, but especially when it comes to technology, like they will jump on it. So you have a little bit of a test market. And I think that what's happened is they have a bigger, what I've kind of, when I've tried to look at what are the differences between some of the ecosystems, I think that this density of people who kind of understand how to internationalize and how to scale, so they have a bit of experience, a bit of understanding how to manage a startup. They have more of those people located in Sweden. They spend a lot of time connecting with places like Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. A lot of other ecosystems are really pushing that now. Like they're trying to do that. But also London, they've tried to connect with a lot of different places, right? And also the funding has just gotten there. They've gotten to a point where there's a lot of funding now in the ecosystem. So you have all those critical factors, and now things are starting to fire off and have been firing off. And I don't know what is the situation as of the pandemic, but generally speaking, that's what was going on. And Copenhagen is still building itself up to that critical place. So that also means a little bit of, I think you get a little bit of a culture within the ecosystem. So people talk about Silicon Valley's like obsessive culture. You know, people go there and they will just sacrifice all work-life balance. Like there's
that's the American way, right? You move forward. It's like, hey, you take a vacation when the doctor says if you're going to die. Right. Like
either your life threatens it, or you've made it and you sold the company, and now you can like choose what you want to do, which is kind of this dream that people have. So I think that's built into the culture, and you have now a few more Swedes who actually are willing to take this path of. It's not like Silicon Valley by any means. But I think it's more difficult in Denmark. I think there's more people who actually want work-life balance. They want to make a startup. They absolutely want that independence and that feeling of accomplishment. But they're not like, I don't need to be the Uber of whatever. Like, I don't need to actually be a multi-billion-dollar organization. Yeah. And in Silicon Valley, maybe like, why are you in this game?
Yeah, because competition, right? That's part of it. Say, well, if you're like doing something similar,
you get big.
Like that's the whole point. Like you get big, then maybe you have an exit, and then you can relax somewhere.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who are like Danes who are like, don't get me wrong, there are Danes who are obsessed, but there are a lot of Danes who want to also see their kids grow up, and that is a reasonable thing. And they, to what extent it will remain that way as more money comes in and more venture capital really puts pressure and says like, look, we really want these kinds of returns. We want 10x returns, 20x returns, more. We don't just want a nice company that is self-sufficient. We really want something that is maybe going to, go on the stock market or something, give us an exit.
Have you ever had that situation with the startup where, you're dealing with the early stage startup? And let's put it this way. Have you ever seen that the problem with the startup may be the amount of time they put in it? As in, have you ever got that where you say, look, man, you're not doing enough because you have a similar product and I know you want work-life balance, but you might have to put in some 14-hour days in the beginning, right?
I think that is one of the most common problems early on. Probably doesn't matter what ecosystem you're in. But generally speaking, it's impossible to know how much time it is going to take from your life to actually bring a product to market. It is going to take a lot of time. especially if it is a technical product with any level of sophistication, and your differentiation is in this technological, product, and then then you need to communicate that. Like it's a lot of time, and I don't think anybody's really prepared for it. You kind of get into it, and then you feel like, well, I can't get out of it.
So I've invested too much now. I'm in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got to do this thing, and it is exciting, and there's a bit of a roller coaster. But I think for sure, I've had conversations with founding teams where, when I'm pushing back, I'm kind of like, are you really considering? Like I had a conversation with this team. They make a really cool product. It's a data science product. It's an image recognition product, but their client really was Danish, like fundamentally Danish. And I was like, well, is this, do you see yourself kind of serving the Danish, community entirely? And they're like, no. But I was like, you don't know what anybody else thinks. And this is the smallest maybe market that you will ever be in. It is unlikely that you will grow until very, very late, that you would go to other markets that are this small. You will probably go to other much bigger markets, meaning you may want to think about starting there first. And how do they do things? Do they want the product to look at all like this? Is this even the product that they want? Yeah. So, and I was like, probably you're onto something, but just double check that, sense check.
Gotcha.
And they're like, man, we're full on trying to make this product as awesome as possible. And I'm like, you definitely are. You definitely are. But you may be full on changing that product in a few months or a year, whenever it is that you decide to go to Germany or wherever it is that you decide to go. I think there's a bit of a mismatch, but I also think that's kind of part of that game, that lesson.
Gotcha. You got to learn that.
Knowing where to spend your time is what is a great CEO.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. That's it.
Gotcha.
It's not the CEO who's like the master strategist, and he learns on the way or on the job because it's a startup. He or she doesn't need to be a 20-year experience kind of executive type of person.
Knowing what you're good at.
Yeah. And what am I not good at? Really? Like admitting, like, I don't know how to do this. I've tried it. I need somebody now who just really can just do this full time. That's part of the whole thing.